James, I almost didn't recognize you.
I'm sorry, have we met before?
I think once. Something in England. Nicole Hunter.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, bringing you the third mission in my 007 Bloodstone 007 difficulty video walkthrough. And this is Siberia, and this is the first part of Siberia. And the reason why I'm breaking this level up into parts is because if it was one whole level, it would go on forever, and I would have nightmares about the upload process. And the main reason for that is because the Istanbul level that you're probably about to see is 1.15 gig. And YouTube has a limit of 2 gig size, and it's not the size that's the problem. Well, it is, but it isn't that in its own essence. It's the fact that the size dictates how long it takes to upload. And the Istanbul level, which is 1.15, was estimated 268 minutes to upload on my piece of shit internet. So you can imagine what anything bigger would be. And 268 minutes is a hell of a long time for something to fail. And that is the biggest fear, because if anybody who uploads to YouTube on a regular basis knows, sometimes the internets just dip, and for whatever reasons that upload stream just cannot sustain itself, and you'll have a couple of failed videos. And for anybody whose upload is not very great, it's a frustrating process, so I don't think I'm ever going to do videos that big. Purely because it's terrifying. I'm not going to lie. But anyhow, back to the game. This is Siberia. The start of this level is very spy-based. It's very, Mission Impossible. You're running around, you're pretending to be just a normal dude, hacking into high-security areas and sneaking and stuff. And it's all pretty fun. When you get to the culmination of this start section, the big flashpoint moment, it gets a little bit more challenging because it's a shootout in a server room and it's really bad. And by the way, if you get spotted on this section here, I think it's failed mission, so be very, very careful if you can. And also, if the camera sees you doing anything suspicious, like if it sees a dead body, if it sees anything like that, if it sees somebody shooting at you, it will fail you as well, because it'll obviously you're breaking cover and it's a bad thing. But if you wait long enough on this corner, what will happen is the two guys will split up, enabling you to kill one of them, neutralize the camera, and then kill his friend. It's just a case of a little bit of patience, and you can get this done. It's just if you rush it, you're probably going to see the game over screen a couple times, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's one of those things where if you don't fail enough times, you don't learn. And there you go, disable the camera, and just be careful on this corner. Obviously, detective mode will show you where the enemies are, so you should never lose sight of them. You can cruise behind this dude, and then you can go up to this terminal and pull your phone out once again, because if only the phone was, like a Sony Ericsson, they could have had the biggest product placement ever. But I don't know a lot about phones, because I personally fucking hate them. But there you go, that's that first objective down. You just have to walk out now and continue doing your stealthy stuff, like a boss. But I think E3's pretty much wrapping up as I speak. And I still haven't seen the conferences, which is really annoying, but I'm hoping that game trailers are going to throw them up so I can watch them in their entirety. I know they had the Ubisoft and they had the EA conference, but truth be told, I'm not too bothered about those two. It's the big ones that are, and I know the big companies obviously, but it's the Microsoft, it's the Sonys, it's those people that interest me more, because the games that Ubisoft and the games that EA are pushing are all good games which I've seen. I'm just not so interested in their presentation, because it's just one of those things where it's not something that I'm that interested in seeing. But like there's the new Assassin's Creed that they seem to be monetizing well and annually and all this kind of shit with it, which is featuring Ezio once again, and possible ties back to Altair, which is really strange, seeing as how it's not moving time periods. But I'll let people speculate on that, because I used to be a massive Assassin's Creed fan and I've just kind of lost it along the way. I don't know why, it's just how it works sometimes. But what can you do? And one thing I do find kind of exciting, which is kind of contrary to my personality, is the new Halo, the Halo 4 trailer that they showed. And obviously it's considerably early days, so we can't really speculate too much about it, and I'm personally not the biggest Halo fan at all. Ask any of my friends and they'll tell you. But it's in new developers' hands, and I know that the people working on it have had past Halo experience, but they could really change what Halo is and what our opinions and our perceptions of what a Halo game has to be. They could completely rejuvenate it, Call of Duty 2 to Call of Duty 4 style. It could be something really special, and that's something that I'm excited about just on the concept alone. One thing I'm not too bothered about is the remake of the first one with the up-res graphics, because I mean, I played Halo when before it even came out. I went to a shopping market and they had it on in an electronics shop, and then I played I don't know what level it was a beach, and to me I was just kind of running around with a gun. It looked kind of pretty. I was shooting Down syndrome babies and they made funny stupid fucking noises and they ran away from me and there were glowing grenades and laser guns, and I was just like, this is a piece of shit, I hate it. And I've kind of stood by that opinion, because to me, when I think back to nostalgic first person shooters, I think GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. I don't think Halo 1, but that's just because I'm slightly older than a lot of people that got into it, and I didn't spend hours on Halo 1 thinking it was the next way forward in first person shooters, because as I've mentioned, I thought it was a pile of shit. But just because I don't like it doesn't mean other people don't, and I've got a lot of friends that are really excited for it, because to them it was that game, it was that momentous moment of first person shooting, so I'm really happy for those people, but to me it's just a jaw-breaking yawn. But gonna have to deviate from the E3 talk for a few minutes, because this is the hardest section of Siberia, probably. I mean, there's a couple of other sections coming up that are equally challenging, but this is rough. And what happens is, when you hack this terminal, that doorway I'm looking at there, that doorway I've just looked at, enemies are going to spawn. And they'll alternate spawns, so they'll come from the left for a wave, like you've just seen just then they'll come from the right, so on and so forth, until the gunfight is over. And the hardest bit about this section is the fact that you can't really do the cover trick all that well. So you have to stay in cover and rely on your skills as a third-person shooting game. And the biggest problem you're going to face with that is the fact that as soon as you come out of cover, you are very exposed when you're aiming, and you will get killed very quickly. Combine that with the fact that, whoa, oh my god, I'm in some serious trouble there. You don't want to get in that kind of situation. Combine that with the fact that the enemies like to rush, as you've just seen then, and with the fact that you run out of ammo. Because the real enemy in this encounter is the fact that you can be in cover, you can be defending really well, you can be killing dudes, not having any problems, and then you'll run out of bullets, and it forces you to run into situations you don't want to be in, like I just did then. If it weren't for the fact that my guns were all out of ammo, I wouldn't have moved, I would have been safe, and I wouldn't have risked potentially wasting this opportunity. And like right then, I probably shouldn't blind fire because my life is so low, because they can shoot your hand, but because I've died a few times on this section because of bullshit reasons, I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm going to be as aggressive and as, you know, as brutal as I can against these enemies. And blind firing is probably not the best thing to do because it does waste a lot of ammunition, but it's one of those moments where this section isn't that tough. It's just you can get screwed very easily with things that are out of your control. I mean, just there, if that was the corner trick, I wouldn't have taken a single bullet, and right now I've got them coming from both sides, so you need to keep checking your flank, because as it gets through this gunfight, they will come from the left, and as you can see, there's two crossfires coming my way, and you've got to kind of pick and choose your shots, and look at that cheeky shit trying to go around the side of me, and this pistol's just not blind firing at all. You've just got to keep your cool, try not to panic, and hopefully don't get that unlucky one-shot kill. But so far, this is the hardest part of the game, so if you do die a few times, don't be disheartened, because this bit's kind of bad. If anybody rushes at you like that, feel free to slam their head against the desk and get a focus shot. Use it with abundance, because this is the only real section until a little bit later on the level where you're going to need anything like that. Because Siberia's long, and anybody that's seen the country on a fucking map knows that the place is huge, but this level is very long. It's about an hour long. But as soon as it's over, you'll see the cutscene. You can skip the cutscene and then you have to escape the chamber before the gas kills you. And it involves climbing up a ladder and then doing a bunch of bunny hopping. And the ladder's over there. You can't quite see it sometimes though, but it is yellow and black. It does stand out. And you just get to the top of here. You have to jump to your right on this shimmy rail. It's kind of awkward. Sometimes Bond just doesn't want to go that way. And this is exactly the same. Look at him. He's not even moving. I'm like, fucking move, you fathead. What are you doing? And I get myself in a bad situation because he will not go on to the right. He's like, shimmy, goddammit, Daniel. And there he does it, finally. And you just drop down onto these vents, and then you can hop across this area and get to the extraction bay, or whatever they want to call it, the area that doesn't have gas. And it's all context sensitive. You press A to jump. It's not timing based. You can't fall. It's very simple, but you come through that door there, and you're safe. And hopefully you'll get a checkpoint pretty soon, and come out into this room, this like computer room bay or whatever it is, with all these giant stacks. And this is another dangerous gunfight. This is nowhere near as challenging as the one you've just done, but there's a lot of enemies, there's a lot of weird spawns, and they come at you from some ridiculous angles, so you need to be careful. Luckily enough, we have a corner, we have cover, we can do the cheesy shooting round corner move, and it works a treat. As you're going to see as I destroy these people. That dude's creeping forward, thinking he can get the jump on me, and unfortunately, I'm using the Gears of War trick, as I like to call it. Cheesing people, and just be careful as you walk forward, because it's the same principles of pretty much every game ever made. You walk forward, you trip an invisible line, the enemies will come. And if you get unlucky and you push that line too quickly, you're going to die, because 2 bullets in guns that fire very fast is nothing. It's like Modern Warfare 2 online. If somebody sees you, someone will kill you unless you kill them or get in cover. It's a binary thing, there's no middle ground. But these squares, I don't know what you would call them, like recording boxes or some kind of maintenance hubs, I don't know what they are. But you can use them as fantastic cover because you can shoot round either side and you can do the trick on both sides, so you're never stuck for people to shoot at. And as you push forward you can be changing your weapon out. Now, just be aware of the spawns. The spawns are what are going to catch you out more than anything. This is not a challenging game for the most. It's just a couple of sections will definitely have you a little frustrated if you don't approach them correctly. And I got screwed on my first playthrough of this area, because as you push through and you push around this corner, and yeah, as I was moving up through here the first time I played this room, I was doing everything correctly, doing pretty much what I'm doing now. And you'll notice how it says like 20 meters to the objective, and the room looked completely clear. I didn't use the detective mode because, as I mentioned, I get a little bit sloppy when I play. And I pushed up and ran towards the door thinking everybody was dead, and I think there was one guy alive who just came down the stairs and he shot me from behind. It instantly killed me. And the checkpoint is at the start of this room. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we've been shooting in this room for about 2 to 3 minutes, so it's a pretty long section of just fluent gunplay, so don't throw it away with impatience is kind of what I'm trying to get at, and it's something that I'm a professional at doing. I do it all the time, and it's just that impatient part of my body. But you'll notice I just hit a spawn there. I'm trying to run back to get to some decent cover so I can use my lovely little clipping trick. And it works a charm on those 2 guys, and there's probably another one. I should really be using the detective mode to seek them out, but I haven't really noticed its usefulness, and I must have been having a retard day. But I've been playing through Portal 2 because I've just got it through on my rental service, so I'm super stoked about that. I'm going to be doing a guide for it, not because I think I'm good at the game, or because, you know, I think it's something that everyone's going to need help with. Just purely because A, it's fun, and B, it's new, and hopefully it'll get me some interesting traffic to my channel. But the game itself, man, some of those puzzles can be really, really difficult, but then when you do them, they're super easy. You've just been overthinking it. It's the whole Occam's razor theory. It really is at times. And I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through the game, and nobody mentioned how bad the loading is. All the reviews have said how it's a great story, how it's got really funny dialogue, how it's, you know, super clever, and yeah, tick, 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 it really is all of those things, but it's also loads like a PS1 game. Every fucking 5 minutes. Every single test chamber you do, and you're pretty much going test chamber to test chamber to test chamber, that's the game. And every single time you do one, it loads. And you spend more time in loading screens than you do doing the fucking chambers. It's unbelievable. But there's been about 3 or 4 of the test chambers that have really stumped me. And then I've like ignored a really silly thing and figured them out. Like one of them is, it involves when you first get introduced to the blue gunge that enables you to bounce. And there's a drip of blue gunge, and what I was trying to do with it is I was trying to bounce into portals to try and jump up onto this really high ledge, and I was trying to like bounce, go into a portal with a load of speed, get fired out of the portal to hit the blue again, to bounce off into another portal to fire even faster out of the other side up and onto the ledge. And it turned out you could just fire a portal at where the drip was landing and make the gunge splash in other places using portals. But because I'd not thought to do it, I was there for like 10 minutes trying to do these ridiculous acrobatics, and I was just overthinking it to the dick. It was unbelievable. But as I've been playing, it's a little bit longer than I thought it would be, and I'm kind of got to that point where I'm just going into test chamber after test chamber, and I don't want to say I'm bored or it's getting boring, but they could have, you know, mixed up the gameplay a little bit. Like, there's a section early on where you do a bunch of test chambers in a row, and that bit kind of felt like Portal 1, but it was a good introduction to get you back into the way of thinking. Then afterwards, there's like a little escape section where you're following a robot and it's telling you what to do, and that bit was really fun. And then you go back into some test chamber stuff, a little bit more traversal, and I'm kind of enjoying the exploring more than I am the puzzling, which is something that I thought was kind of strange considering it's a puzzle game. But when you get into just the back-to-back test chambers, I'm not so much enjoying those. And it's not because I can't do them, it's just, I think Portal is at its finest when you're learning little bits of storyline, and you're moving into unknown environments, and you're not quite sure where you're supposed to be going. I think that's definitely the stuff I'm enjoying the most. But I got to a puzzle last night, and it was getting really late, and I was getting tired, and it involved those diffusion waves, or whatever they're called, and it just was fucking me up. I was there for like 10 minutes, and I just decided to turn it off so I could do it in a different day. But yeah, really fun game, and the guide might help a few people because it can be really tricky. And you know, if you're one of those people that wants to use a guide, because me personally, I've not used a guide for Portal, and I won't, because on principle I need to beat it. I can't, you know, rely on something to show me how. I want to do it myself. I'm stubborn like that, and it just makes it all the more fun when I fail. But anyhow, back to Bond. This room here is pretty difficult because, as you can see, it's a freezer room, so there's lots of like ice and dry ice smoke all around, so there's like a thick miasma of fog in the room, and you can't really see a lot, and the enemies are in white, so they blend in, which is bullshit, but it's the game. One thing that you should note as well, do you see those like strange looking blocks that have got rebar wrapped around them? They do explode. They're filled with powder or something crazy, or dry ice, I'm not too sure. But you can use them as an improvised explosive device, and they will take out numerous guys. But when you first approach this room, I would definitely say use this heavy duty door and use the cover trick to kill as many people as you can before you move in, because this is one of those encounters where when you move in you can take a bullet, you can die, and you're back to the start, so be very careful with this room. And there's another one just like it coming up, which is equally as challenging, and then after that is a really stupidly difficult bit, which is more luck than anything else, because you have your time to run across the catwalks that you see those people on that I've just been shooting at the balconies, and the place is kind of blowing up, so you've got to rush, and you can't see a damn thing, and they throw enemies at you on the catwalk, and they'll kill you in one bullet every time. So that sounds like a fun idea to you, then you're going to enjoy the latter end of this video. But keep pushing forward, be as tentative as you can, because there's nothing worse than that one bastard that pops up and kills you because you didn't know he was there. And as I keep mentioning, which I'm going to mention a lot, use detective mode to eye out any sneaky bastards. It will save your life. And this is the second cooler room, the second freezer room, should I say. And it's a very similar story. It involves using the door as cover, shooting the guys on the balcony, killing the guys on the floor, using the explosives, and tentatively pushing your way in. There's one big difference between this room and the room you've just done, though. In this room, as you move forward like I'm doing now, you're going to trigger a second spawn. And the second spawn comes from the right-hand side of this room. But be careful, because they flank out towards the left. I mean, look at that dude there. Yeah, you're also going to be faced with the shotgun guys, I think, that have the armour on. And they're not that much tougher than your normal dude, but you generally notice that they take a couple more bullets. But there's the powder being used to good effect to take out those two guys. And just be careful on this corner, because detective mode is your best friend right now. Look at that! Didn't even see the guy. He could have ended this run. He could have full-on killed me, but luckily enough, he was as slow as me, and we had one of those, you know, bullshit moments where we have a stupid standoff, and thankfully I won. But another guy on the balcony that I don't think I've quite seen yet. There's a guy over there that I'm peppering with shots. Guy flanking round who's probably got a shotgun. Do you see how he's got the black helmet on? That signifies he's one of the shotgun guys. And then there's the beret dude over there who's going to go down pretty quick because he's nice and simple. But right now, detective mode I should have on, telling me that there's nobody here. Unfortunately, I'm a giant retard, so I'm not doing it. Did you see that guy then? I sure did. Use the explosives to take care of anybody you can't shoot. Nice and simple. Just bear in mind you can die so quick in this room, be very careful. But once you push through here, you've got a ladder to climb, and then you've got, you know, Bullshit 101 episode. Because this is probably the hardest part of Siberia, or the second hardest part. Difficulty is very subjective, so you're either going to get stuck here for a while, or you're going to think it's easy. Either way, don't be that arsehole that leaves the comment saying, I thought this were easy, because you just look like a twat. But you spin this, you get a nice checkpoint. Get used to spinning this wheel, though, if you have trouble on this area, because you have to keep doing it. And here you go. As soon as you run in, to your right here, there's going to be a guy. You can't quite see him. There he is. Pick him off with your gun. As soon as you've killed him, carry on running. And just save your focus shots, because you're going to need them. And you come into this next room. I always pick up the guy's AK as I come round here. There's two more guys there. Do you see them? One there. Oh no. He's fucking me up. His buddy's just there. Killed him too. You can generally tell when they die because they throw their arms out. That's how you see the death throw. There's one guy there. Be careful of him. He's got a shotgun. There's one guy there. This is where I use my focus shots because that guy there kept killing me. And as you go around here, that guy pops up. Focus shot him. And then there's one more dude, I think. Can you see him just there? Just a bit of shadow. There he is. I have to use my pistol though because the dude won't die. But another guy, make sure you kill him. And then as soon as you get here, you've done the section. But that bit there is the mile-high equivalent of Bloodstone. So be very careful. But that tower's been done, so now you have to go to do the other one, and this one is a lot easier than the one you've just done. The only problem is there's a massive shootout at the end of it, which is pretty much the end of the level before a contrived driving section, but we'll get to that when we get there. So when you run up here, be careful when you come out of this door, because there's a guy to your right, there's two of them, and if you come over and you do the takedown, sometimes one of them will kill you. This time I get lucky, before he killed me. So yeah, it's not the smartest move to do, but it's always useful to have those focus aims for when you need them. But you could probably do this entire game without doing one of the focus shots because, I don't know, on Splinter Cell they really made a difference purely because of how the level design was set up. So you could go into a room, you could sit there mapping out the enemy positions, and then you could break one guy's neck and kill everyone in the room before they even knew you were there. In this game, you're never really presented with that kind of situation because the spawns, enemies spawn in all the time, so it's not the same kind of game. It's just kind of a mechanic that they've seen that they liked and they thought they could put in, and why not? Because it's cool. But be careful when you run down here. You'll notice I shot that guy down there. The reason I shot him is because the first time I ran down here and I turned the valve, I got killed. And I didn't know why. And it turns out that there's one dude that kind of sits down there like an arsehole. And yeah, there you go. That was him. But once you've turned that, it'll start overheating everything. And then you can run down, do your thing. And as soon as you come down onto this lower section, those people are going to spawn. I think there's 3 of them. They'll hide behind the concrete. You can't shoot through the concrete, obviously, but you can clip them if you shoot through the gaps in the middle of it where it's stacked. I don't know if that works for the enemies because the enemies are generally not that smart, but just use your cover trick and look at those guys there. 2 of them on the balcony, one guy with a shotgun coming towards me. And you get lit up so quickly in this game because the enemies' guns don't seem to have the same recoil as yours, so they just pepper you with aim. Just perfect aim. But once you've killed a few people, make sure you pick up a gun because as you can see I'm on my pistol again because the ammo in this game is so scarce. And don't shy away from the shotgun. You'll notice I rarely use it. The reason for that is because I'm conditioned to believe that the shotgun has no range and unless you're 5 yards from your enemy it's a piece of shit. But in this game it's not quite Kane and Lynch 2 because Kane and Lynch 2, my goodness, those shotguns were sniper rifles. They were like the Spaz 12 in Modern Warfare 2 Online. But they are pretty good. They do take a lot of damage. Right now, there's guys that I'm shooting at, and there's a guy behind me, and you'll notice I'm trying to kill this dude as quickly as I can. I'm kind of shit my pants here, because I know there's a guy behind me. And there he is, look at that. I don't know how I didn't die then, because if you look back in the video, as soon as I went into that gunfight and I turned left, there was a yellow signal to my right. And those yellow little signals that look like hit markers, they are telling you where somebody can see you from if you haven't noticed. That's probably, you know, duh to people that play a lot of games, but that tells you where people are and who's looking at you. And that's how I knew there was a guy behind me. But at the time, I was in adrenaline mode. I was just trying to get rid of those guys on my left because they were immediately engaging me. And I got lucky. When you play, it might be smarter to run back on yourself, get cover, and clean them up as they come to you. But that worked for me. I looked at, and it's just how the game works sometimes. But once you've touched the console, these guys are going to spawn. You'll notice I use my hip fire against them. The main reason for that is the first time I tried aiming around the corner when there's 2 of them, they killed me. And I don't like dying, so I didn't make that mistake the second time. But when you kill those guys, you just have to run through here. And we're now moving towards the section that I would say is either the 3rd most difficult or the most difficult part. The only reason it's hard is because it seems like the enemies will not stop spawning, and it also seems like it goes on forever. But I've got a nice little strategy for you that will work. There's a couple of checkpoints in the middle of it, so if you do die, you're not losing too much progress, and hopefully you should have a pretty easy time. So we come into the elevator. No idea what I'm waiting for. There we go. The elevator doors open up. This is the section. But this is the end of this video apparently, and I didn't realise. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in part 2.